We're here for you all, and I know we haven't finished the new moon and Leo readings yet for the rest of the signs, but we've got more of the series. We have new moon Leo readings for all signs actually that were done prior on the channel. So if you would like to check out a sign that hasn't yet been done, feel free to tune in there. We may get into some today. We'll see how the energy moves through and flows. But as of yet, I want to first touch upon some astrological placements right now, as it's kind of yet again intense. And I just wanted to bring it to attention, as there's possibly a lot coming up here around this time as you might be feeling it for review. So really important to keep in mind possibly the macro sort of cycles that are at play. And again, it might be helpful if you do feel like it's a really intense time right now. So let's get into it. Venus, I know you've been commenting. You're like, how do I do it? All right. Are you guys getting notified for the videos when they go live, or okay? Let's jump into it here. I'm gonna look at the calendar real quick. A few really big plot points we can say of Leo. In addition, Mercury is still in Leo, and this is one of the biggest sort of shakes that's being made, I think, this week when it comes to the energy cycle. So right now, for example, Mercury in Leo, but tomorrow it's going to head into Virgo. So it's a pivotal sort of turning point. We could say it in that way, not just because we're moving into, let's say, Virgo energy with Mercury, but because Mercury in Leo is hitting that last degree. It's a really, really strong placement of Leo energy, right? And any advance or degree of any planet and sign is going to be really accented. So Mercury here is, we can say, actually really strong as well. It's not just a Leo energy, but Mercury, but the Leo energy filtering through the archetype of Mercury. So we'll say here Gemini energy strong, matters related to the mind, and Leo rules really strong. So we're really coming down to is how we speak our mind, right? What we actually feel, how do we communicate that? And that's going to be coming up as a real strong focus here. I wouldn't be surprised to know that there's some kind of build up as it relates to this particular part of your chart. And that is also due to the fact that we just had this new moon in Leo as well. So you might be coming to this sort of conceptual standpoint where it's like, hold on, so how do I really address that that the thing that I feel like, how am I actually gonna do that as well? And it could be something you're planning towards for a number of you. This could be actually culminating 6 months down the line at the next full moon in Leo. Keep that in mind. Possibly, time is illusion. Take it as you will. But there might be that focus there, right, on that energy of what you kind of communicate, of what you feel. Now, for a number of you, this is getting really intense. If you have a lot of Leo in your chart, there could be this sort of double spotlight of really strong, almost like this like spurring of like energy, the desire to communicate, like, and in a really direct way what we feel. And at times it can be frustrating if you feel like you're not really doing that. Okay. And in addition, Leo, how it is that we understand what we want as well, and we express that. So a number of different sort of points here that are becoming really rather prominent, possibly real strong accents here. Again, Mercury, Leo. Now, in addition, uh, we have Venus here in Cancer, and that will be moving into Leo. But once Leo season is actually through, that'll be later in September. We'll get back down to that. But right now, Venus is well in Cancer, and for a number of you, the Cancer is a water sign, so we are still in that sort of discussion space of possibly what we were kind of focused on around the period of Cancer season. So there could be some overlap there. Take it as you will. But in addition, something else here really important to note: Mercury in Leo at the 29th degree, as we see it here, there is a long cycle, right? That we're talking about. Relatively, everything is relative, but think back even August, let's say 4th, okay? That's when Mercury officially went into Leo. So the thing about astrology, it's kind of interesting. It's like well, the way that I see it, it's kind of like there are waves that overlap one another, and they're waves of energy. So let's say it's like this. Okay, let's say let's just imagine you have parts in the ocean, right? And then you have these waves that overlap into those parts of the ocean. So let's say you have one wave, and let's say it's called Mercury in Leo. Okay, so let's say that Mercury and Leo wave comes through, and it's overlapping, let's say, with the full moon in Aquarius, which actually they were right after one another. This was back on the 3rd of August. So you have that full moon in Aquarius wave of energy that kind of cascades out. Then you have the Mercury and Leo sort of wave that also cascades out. And those energies sort of cascading out together as one. Imagine that those kind of have a residual energy flow that's associated with them. Now, then imagine that then Mercury here, we're about 2 weeks or so 3 weeks later, down the line, around the 20th of August, we have Mercury then dipping into Virgo. So we still kind of have that wave of the energy that has been orbiting since around the 4th of August, and whatever else was sort of at play around that time, given that it's sort of batoned over around that period. So I don't know if that makes sense to everyone, but take it as you will. Okay. Mercury and Virgo, though, to say in this way as well, there could be a sort of climax of the discussion that you having throughout the last 3 weeks. So maybe think back, 3 weeks or so, what really was focus around that time, and even what was overlapping with that period as well. Maybe it was a cycle. Let's see. Well, Venus cleared prior to then. But the full moon in Aquarius and Mercury actually cleared as well from retro prior to that. Let's see here. We had the sun in Leo starting from, yes, it was actually the sun was in Leo in July, tail end of July. So that was overlapping when Venus and Mercury were still in sort of push out of retro. So we are still clearing out. Okay, if you imagine it as like a towel that you're wringing out, and then you wring it out again, and then you wring it out again. So this is a process. Okay, like you might find that things are really coming to a head here, and it feels intense. Is what I'm getting as well, possibly for no is what I'm hearing. And again, that is due to, yes, is Leo energy, but there's just so much that we've been moving through, and they are still kind of like, in a sense, overlapping. Something that is kind of being brought up to a climax, specifically as it relates to what you might have been experiencing, even let's say when the sun in Leo season began. Really, everything is connected, but I'm seeing, let's say it in, let's say around the 26th or so, even 22nd, 26th of 22nd of July. So okay, a lot of cycles overlapping and moving into one another. Now then we move here into as well the discussion of the actual sun. And we've just been talking about Mercury so far, but we're talking about as well the sun. What's interesting is, yes, sun in Leo, Mercury in Leo as we speak, new moon in Leo. But the sun is also shifting. So the sun is also heading into those later degrees of Leo. So you can imagine we have a really strong overall sort of emphasis on this archetype. So how are you guys feeling? It has been, yeah, it's been heavy, right, Cynthia? It's been a really, Cynthia G says this energy has been heavy today. So, just know that there is a lot that's sort of coming to a point of culmination, and oh, Priscilla, you feel sad. Well, yeah, and anxious. Starseed, Blossom Man. There's a lot. There's just it's like, becoming really loud. It's like, okay, everyone now needs to come back into the room and convene. And it is a discussion of possibly what we have been experiencing since the end of July yet again. So, and that was a real heavy cycle. We were closing out Venus clearing and Mercury clearing, and the sun was shifting from Cancer, a real long cycle into the sun in Leo. And so, there's a lot, to understand that this is something that is possibly, it happens, it's a progression of energy. So it is connecting to possibly also, I'm hearing prior lifetime. So take it as you will, we just really moved through. Think about it, Cancer. That's the lowest part of the birth chart, right? That is the most like internal sort of private, vulnerable space, the birth chart. We had the new moon eclipse, we had another new moon in Cancer, and following that we had another new moon in Cancer. And that was all during the sun in Cancer season, and Mercury in Cancer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, a lot of energy, and no, this is not without respect, but like there was a lot of water energy. And so, okay, that was something that, and we, in addition, have all of the retros, more or less. And at that period, we had almost every planet retro, save Mars, but whatever. Okay, that is, yeah. So at this time, we are still possibly working with these energies in some way. But for a number of you as well, it's really, the universe is heralding attention around what it is that we have passion for to create. And that is really the discussion of Leo, right? Leo is so empowering as an energy archetype. It's so inspiring, right? It's energizing, and everybody has that energetic propensity within themselves, their being. How you want to tap into that is going to be unique to you. So taking a look at your personal birth chart is, I think, could be so helpful when it comes to this discussion of, what really is it that I want want to create. And you'll be able to know really well, like, am I on that train? Am I working in that direction? Do I feel like I have been, depending on how this particular moon cycle has felt for you. So it's kind of interesting because the certain peaks and valleys in the moon cycle really brings that energy space full circle for you in terms of perspective. You'll be able to tell really easily at a new moon or a full moon how that energy is operating. How are you grappling with that concept? And that is, of course, not just on that day, but a buildup of how that energy has sort of been working for you within you. Now, yeah, it, so it's. So I just want to say, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just know that this is a particular build-up period, even though it's the new moon's the lowest peak of energy flow. But interestingly, we have so much Leo energy coming forth, which is very Yang energy, and so it's kind of like, well, this doesn't really make sense right now. Maybe even at times you feel like you're working with concepts that are not really possible. I'm hearing as well, possibly also relevant on some level to your experience right here, right now. So that might again come through, let's say 6 months down the line. But right now we're sort of laying the framework. Possibly it's like more of the theory space. So take it as you will. And I hope this is helpful because I was looking at the calendar. I'm like, wow, this is really, really a peak that we're hitting right here, big time, and we have to we have to bring it to attention. It's kind of like a culmination feeling. Now, in addition, we have Pluto retrograde still. We also have Saturn retrograde still. We have Uranus retrograde still. We have Mars in pre-shadow. Venus is technically clear, but again, we have that batoning over of the overlap of energy. In addition, Mercury is technically still clear. We will be having another one more turn with Mercury here in retro, and that will be the last one of the year. But that will come down. I think it might be in September. Let me just take a quick little look. But it's don't hearing that, so like right now. Yeah, so we got a lot here. It's like a lot on the table, even just for the tail end of August in some kind of way. Always take it as you will, whatever you feel you want to work with as a concept. But let's clear the energy and ground. We have the quarter moon as well coming up on the 25th. So expect within the next few days, perhaps like kind of reflect on what has come to a point for me that was so clear during this period of let's say the last few days, 17th of August to the 20th of August. Really maybe reflect on between the 20th and the 24th, 25th, what was really like also very temperamental for me, what was really, really a challenge for me, what was a concept that I at the same time felt I grappled with and I came to some kind of conclusion with. That will possibly become something that really becomes clear on the 25th. So, at any new moon or full moon, the energy is just intense. So, it's a wonderful time, especially around the new moon period, to reflect. Now, in addition, we then have the full moon in Pisces coming up. This is really important. We had the full moon in Pisces. I believe we had, wow, we had it. Let me pull up the calendar actually. We had a full moon in Pisces. I think it was in March. New moon in Pisces actually in March, full moon in Pisces. This is going to be really, really important. These are really, really intense times, right? When we're even looking at the concept of Pisces related to the collective transcendence, spirituality, what we see that we don't necessarily see. Okay, that's sometimes a tricky space to navigate. And for those of you who have a lot of water in your chart, just keep a heads up about that because Neptune can really throw you around for a loop. And Neptune is actually retrograde around this time as well. It went retro June 22nd, right in that Cancer season. So just know that, especially if you are a Pisces or you have a lot of Pisces energy, just remember that things are kind of possibly also not really as they seem. So let's say you meet someone new as well around this period, and whenever, let's say, a lot of planets are retrograde, really good to kind of listen to Phil Collins on that one. Oh, think twice, yeah. Paradise, like just kind of reflect. Okay, take your time at that ultimately as well, possibly with a Neptune retro, especially if you are meeting a Pisces. And I don't normally say that, but it might be something of a focus. Like that energy in some way, especially if you have, like, let's say if you meet someone you have really strong Neptune contacts with, just remember that there might be certain things that you don't really see as they are. Okay, so and for a number of you, if you're going kind of like crazy around that time, I don't know. We'll be doing further readings hopefully, but if you're like having also like really intense dreams, or you're like remembering a lot of things, and there's a lot coming up from what feels to be like the past, just remember that there is possibly a cycle here that is coming up for review from prior lifetimes. I'm hearing that yet again, especially if you are a Pisces, if you have a lot of Pisces energy in your chart. Naturally, this is your domain, this is your realm. Okay, you're the 12th house. You got a lot of energy here working with, not just on planet Earth. You are also tuning into possible. Well, it will be a different for everyone, right? General reading, but well, yeah, you're sort of open to these other realms. So it's important to remember that, because you're highly empathic and you're incredibly porous when we're talking about energy, very sensitive to the energy around you. So just keep it in mind yet again. It can be really intense around the September, the 2nd of September that we're talking about, 2020. Now, let me actually get that date up. We had, yes, it was February 23rd, actually, the new moon in Pisces. So think back to that period possibly as a heads up. It might be a good time to start doing that now, actually, just so you can kind of get a heads up as it relates to what themes might be coming up for review. And, because we don't want to get to the new moon in Pisces, just like we feel that we feel the wave hitting us like right then. Okay, arrive at the party and the party's just like ended. No, we want to maybe get a sense and a feel for these energies. And I don't normally come on and like kind of preach for that, but right here, right now, I'm getting that for a number of you, I felt really guided to jump on here and sort of bring this to attention, right? And specifically Neptune energy. So take a look at your birth chart and see, where does Neptune naturally lie in your chart? Yeah, how does that energy naturally operate? Are you familiar with it? How does it channel? How does it channel through? So, take it as you will. And the full moon can be rather intense energetically, regardless. So when it comes to Pisces, for a number of you, have a good, healthy outlet for also matters of an emotional kind in nature. If you feel like you're really experiencing a lot of things on an emotional level, heavy sort of visions and memories, really have this prepared. I'm hearing in this way. Maybe like start to think about, again, look back maybe to February 23rd, approximately that date, that period. What really gets you grounded? Because when we see this full moon, and especially in Pisces, especially when Neptune is retro, people will be coming out of the woodwork trying to throw you for a loop, Pisces. And I'm hearing in this way, have your ways of grounding. And it could even be something as simple as like an herb that you smell, maybe like a sachet of lavender petals, for example. I'm seeing that for a number of you. Whatever gets you grounded, right? It's kind of like when you're about to take a flight and you're like, I know that I always kind of get nervous when I take a flight. What helps you in that process? And I'm hearing of ascension. So for a number of you, this might be something that you're really familiar with, but I'm getting that it might be really helpful to just have this sort of plan lined up. And as we get closer to that date, I'll probably be doing more Astro talks. And if you're a new viewer and you want to get sort of in the loop once I do post again, then feel free to subscribe and make sure you click the bell icon. And as some of you have said that you're not getting notified, so I think that's one way to do it. Now, in addition, there is also, I'm hearing corruption. I don't know what that's a full moon of Pisces. Okay, we're not reading it, but that's just sort of coming through. In addition, we also have Jupiter retro. Sorry, it's so hot here, so I'm like sweating. Okay. Now, shortly after then, though, we have that Venus entering into Leo. So that's going to be a nice little sort of surprise. We'll have a few days of that, the alleviation of the full moon in Pisces, and then we'll dip into Mars retro. But we'll get into that later. That's going to come in September, and we'll deal with that when it does come. But for a number of you, in addition, let's see here, coming up in September, we've got as well on the 5th. This is prior to the Venus going into Leo. We have Mercury here going into Libra. So right around that period is when we'll see the culmination of Mercury in Virgo. So that'll be also kind of a you can say an intense time, but it's Earth energy. So it's a grounded sort of energy archetype. Very that Mercury does actually naturally rule Virgo. So we have that really strong, intense sort of Virgo energy around that period of time. Is your birth chart and see, wow, do I have like a lot of Virgo, and I have a stellium, because that might be hitting on that for you, and it's just good to know again in advance. And specifically as it relates again to the archetype of Virgo. Virgo is incredibly detail oriented. It can speak as well to the analytical mind, and it can get really caught up in the details. So for those of you who know actively, like you're like really familiar with birth chart, and you know that you got maybe certain tendencies, and there is something of that nature, then it might be helpful to know that in advance we'll be really having a strong Virgo energy, Mercury energy, air energy around the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th of September. Right before we move into Mercury and Libra, which is also an air sign actually, but Libra, they're ruled by Venus as well, which is on that sort of accent of earth and air. But regardless, again, just key to note possibly is the strong Virgo energy influence, Mercury energy influence on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th of September. So um no, not to strike fear, of course, right? But always take it as you will. Just that might be something in particular for a number of you, and it could be wonderful energy where it's like, yeah, I really want to be very productive in that space. I want to be very much focused around that time. Maybe for the number of you, you want to like publish something, for example, or like really requires very strong Virgo energy. Might be a wonderful time to carry that through. Now, again, always take it as you will. We also have Jupiter going direct in that second week, but we'll get into that, and then Saturn will also be clearing in the month of September as well later down the line. But again, we'll get into that. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Is this helpful? How do you guys feel about these sort of like astro talks here and there? Is it helpful to kind of like connect with the conceptual macro framework of energies? How does it sort of how does it help? That um oh um a number of yes, Visa Jungle. Yep, it's very much like that. Okay, wonderful to know the weather. Yeah, before you head out. Yeah, I wouldn't want to just like step right into a rainstorm. But hey, it's it's got its ways. I don't know. For a number of you, you might there are different times. It's not like we always have to be like. Sometimes you just don't want to look at the weather. You just want to head out. And everything's sort of divine, I guess. But yeah, it's important to know, because sometimes certain transits can throw you off complete. I mean, could just like come from left side, left field, like completely just like, and so it's just helpful to know. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to experience certain things. It's just you're going to have that perspective of maybe what exactly is being brought up for review, and it might again be helpful in that way. So yeah, take it as you will, you guys. Love and light to you, and anything else coming through. Bye, alchemy. Goodbye. No, we're done. We're goodbye. Goodbye. Bye, everyone. See you later. Back on. Going home at school. Cute. All right. But yeah, so yet again, just roll with it. I'm done. Goodbye. Mm, well done. Later, taters. So yeah, it's so intense. Oh, that's good. You're laughing. Not today, was. Yes. We'll be taking it as we will. Goodbye. Back on. Come back to class next day. You hear how I took it as I did. I took it as I did. Thought that was a homework. All right. So, anyways, cool. Well, I'm glad that we were able to connect. Is it going in and out? Oh gosh, don't tell me we're on the headphones. You guys heard me the whole time, right? Cool. In and there are a number of readings though now up. If you feel guided to go watch, feel free. There is a pick a card reading, centering around the concept of take it as you will, love, and and the evolution of that. Take it as you will, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, love and light to you. Bye.